Welcome to Red Rank Podcast, home of the smoothest voice on Twitch. I'm your host, The Crow Show. Welcome in. This is our first episode of Red Rank Podcast. Let's just jump into it. So we're going to talk about some news for Dead by Daylight. We're going to talk about the Shrine of Secrets. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about myself because I promised I would talk about myself in the teaser trailer. And then we'll wrap things up. So there's a lot of news going on in Dead by Daylight right now. The Stranger Things chapter will no longer be in the store as of November 17th. The Hawkins map will also be removed from the game forever. There will be a character sale from August 18 through November 17. Nancy, Steve, and Demogorgon will be 50% off. There will be an outfit sale from August 18th through September 8th where all cosmetics will be 50% off. Now, before you get too worried, the characters will remain playable after they are removed from the store, but they can no longer be purchased by new players as of November 18 of 2021. The unlocked teachable perks will remain usable, and for future players, those perks will be replaced by generic perks with identical traits. The Dead by Daylight account has posted that in their Twitter, and I believe it was in their forum post. Now, before you get worried, this is not a signal of things to come. Each licensed chapter has their own contract, and Netflix recently announced they're getting into video game development, so that probably plays a big part in them allowing their Stranger Things contract to expire with Dead by Daylight. So this doesn't mean good or bad news for the existing licensed content. It just means that Stranger Things is going away, and that really sucks. I'm not going to miss Hawkins map one bit. I really don't like that map, but it kind of breaks my heart that eventually there will be a crop of Dead by Daylight players who won't have Nancy, Steve, or Demogorgon in their roster, and that's a shame. The new chapter was announced this morning. It's Hellraiser. It's a classic horror franchise. I've actually never seen the movie, and I'm going to be fixing that real soon. Pinhead is the new killer, but there is no new survivor and no new map. Pinhead is what we call a 115 killer. He moves at 115% of the speed of survivors, so that's maximum speed. He moves just as fast as any killer in Dead by Daylight. He has a special power where he launches hooks to slow people down. I think he could be very strong at semi-safe loops. I'll keep an eye on killer mains who stream Dead by Daylight and see how they use him, because I tried a couple rounds and I was completely lost. It's hard to say where this killer will land, but I'm really excited because when you play against him or with him, it really does feel like a horror game. And we've been missing that quite a bit in this game. I remember when Trickster came out, people were like, yeah, Trickster in a horror game. Sure. Nemesis is pretty cool and brought zombies and stuff, but this really feels like something cool and refreshing. He also has this really funny line where he said, what does he say again? He says, you have opened the box, and I have come, and I have came. Something like that. It turns the chat in whatever Twitch channel you're in into a bunch of children, and everybody has a laugh and a giggle. It's actually pretty funny. Yeah, I'll be curious to see how this killer plays out. There's a new Shrine of Secrets for the week of August 17 through 24th. The perks are Balanced Landing, Breakdown, Pop Goes the Weasel, and Haunted Ground. For survivors, I do recommend Balanced Landing. If you don't want to level up Nia, maybe just unlock Balanced Landing in the Shrine of Secrets. And Pop Goes the Weasel and Haunted Ground are essential for killers. If you want to play killer, it's nice to have those perks available. Pop Goes the Weasel is very good for generator control, and Haunted Ground allows you to snowball super fast with mobile killers like Nurse and Spirit. During the teaser trailer, I promised, I guess you could say, that I would talk a little bit about myself, so I'll do that for now. I've been playing Dead by Daylight for around a year and a half. I'm a Zarina main, I'm a Huntress one trick. I've been branching out into other killers recently because the game's more fun that way. A few years ago, my friend Pickle Soup introduced me to the game. I bought Dead by Daylight, fired it up. He was already pretty high rank, so when we'd play, I'd be a rank 21 baby. We'd get into lobbies with red rank killers, and you can imagine how that went. I did not have a fun time. I had troubles running the killer. I didn't know the perks. I was actually quite overwhelmed with how many perks there are in the game, and that was a few years ago. I thought it was a little bit pretentious with how many perks you had to memorize. Pickle would be like, oh yeah, they have barbecue and they have sloppy butcher and they have this and that. Oh, that's save the best for last. Oh, and they have no ed. I'm like, what the fuck was all that? It was so confusing to me. So if you're a new player, stick with it. You'll learn the perks eventually. And hey, if you have any questions, you can always hit me up. So yeah, the playing Dead by Daylight didn't last long for me then. But for some reason, I came back to it. Some of my other friends played it. I watched Twitch streamers play it. I was like, yeah, let's try it again. So I installed the game, and I really started to get back into it around the Zarina Deathslinger chapter. I think it's called Chains of Hate. Started playing and fell in love with the game. I fell in love with like the mechanics of running killers and outsmarting dumb survivors, getting a 4K. I also really enjoy the cosmetics and love the variety of killers and perks and coming up with cool builds. And even if it's super meta, I'm still having a lot of fun with experimenting with builds on either killer or survivor. I really enjoy playing both sides of the game. It feels great to vault a window and narrowly miss an attack, or to hit a perfectly timed hatchet throw with the Huntress. That's such a good feeling. There's so many things in this game, and depending on where you're at in the game, like endgame collapse, you can have some really, really fun plays. I also find Dead by Daylight to be a great spectator game. I have a blast watching streamers like my friend Pickle Soup, Angry Pug, Umbra, Elix, Jessica Blevins, Otts, Scott Jund, Aaron, JRM, and of course Noob, who is the king of all content creators. They inspire me. All those people who I named, they inspire me in a big, big way. In addition to being in those communities and just getting to know them and the people who are in their communities, I've found that the community is so welcoming to the LGBTQIA2S plus community, of which I'm a new member. Dead by Daylight helped me realize that I'm bisexual. When the Pride Charm came out, I wore it mostly just to support my friends. And then people on social media and mostly TikTok attacked me for wearing the charm. That made me feel really defensive. I had to speak up. But something about their attacks felt really personal to me. Then I did some internal reflection. My entire life, I haven't hidden my attraction to other men. I just thought everybody felt the same way. That's not the case, and that's okay. But in my head, I was like, sexy's sexy. I thought everybody feels this way. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. I can only speak for myself. Of course, there's a bunch of hot men in Dead by Daylight. You know, Felix, David, Michael Myers, Pyramid Head. Some of you are even into Ghostface. But hey, you do you. For me, it's more of an awareness thing. I'm happily married to my lovely wife, Sarah. We actually just celebrated 9 years of marriage last week. It's a part of who I am and who I've always been. And that's really why I wanted to share my news with everybody willing to listen. And if you're out there and if you have questions about yourself, or if you're not 100% sure where you stand in the broad scope of things, you don't have to decide right now. Just focus on you, focus on being happy, love who you want to love. The rest will take care of itself. And if you have friends or family you think that might be tough to talk about these things, reach out to people in the Dead by Daylight community, because I guarantee you will find others with very similar stories to your own. And that's part of what I love about this community. Everybody has been so welcoming and so incredible. It's easy for us to focus on the trolls and the hateful people, but I'd rather not give them that energy or that attention that they crave. Now, we can talk more about me in later episodes, but in the meantime, I'm very proud to announce I've booked my first guest for the podcast. We're going to be recording very soon, and I look forward to sharing our discussion with you on this podcast. I'm still freaking out. I'm really, really excited, and I cannot wait to book more guests for this podcast. If you have anybody you would like to hear on this podcast in conversation format, talking about Dead by Daylight, horror movies, games, life, anything, let me know. Hit me up on my socials. You can also find me on Twitch. I do stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night around 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We also have a very active Discord, and I'll leave a link in the description below. You can join us for some Swifts or movie night. I'm looking to get that back up back off the ground. We're actually going to be watching Hellraiser really soon together. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Red Rank Podcast, or you can find me on Twitter at The Crow Show, and that's spelled _Crow_show. I'll leave links in the description below. Red Rank Podcast is available on all major platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and TuneIn Radio, among others. And where you can, please do me a big favor, leave a like and a review. For Spotify users, I just learned that you're not able to review and rate podcasts, but listening to the podcast helps me a great amount. And if you could share the podcast with anyone you think would enjoy it, please do. The goal is to upload at least one weekly episode. We'll cover news, updates, strategy, maybe field some questions. And I, again, really want to talk about horror movies and TV shows. So until next time, I look forward to talking with you, and thank you very much for listening.